welcome back to Comedy
Or Worse.
How's it going today?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on the podcast. We're into season 2. Yay!
Hey.
Finally. So, do you go by a stage name?
No, just Jim Gallagher.
All right. Hell yeah. So what got you into comedy?
I had kind of a corporate career, and I was coming to the end of that and trying to figure out what I was going to do for the rest of my life. And comedy was something I always really admired and had an idea of how hard it was, but really didn't truly know. And so it's about 6 years ago, I started kind of exploring in Los Angeles, where I was living at the time, found a class, and started to learn some stuff, and been doing it ever since.
Sweet. Yeah, so did you get addicted to it right away, or?
Not really, because I still had a full-time job, and I know that the vast majority of people who do comedy balance it with a full-time job, and that's amazing to me. I mean, I have profound respect for that. That wasn't something I was able to do particularly well. And so, I was really interested and excited to learn more about it. But it was really, for me, going to be something I was going to do more after I retired. And then once I retired, I kind of jumped in with both feet.
Super cool. So what is your writing process for comedy?
I have tried so many of them, as I guess most people have. For the longest time, I was trying to write every day, and if I didn't write every day, I would beat myself up about not writing every day.
Sure.
And then that just led to more and more days where I didn't want to write. And what I was finding was I would have like a kernel of an idea of what I thought could be a really good joke, and then when I went to put it on paper, I would lose it.
Sure.
So I actually preferred pretending that I had this great bit in my mind. Oh, I just have to write that. That'll be a great bit when I write it. Rather than trying to write it and immediately realizing it was a lousy bit.
Sure.
So what I have actually had some luck doing the last couple of years was, when I'm in the right mood, I can kind of sit down and bust out a whole bunch of stuff at once.
Nice.
And that has worked a lot better for me. So I've come to realize that, I'm never going to be one of those guys who can write every day because I'm not going to get anything done. It's not going to be any good.
Yeah.
But I have to wait for those times when I'm in the right mood, and then my batting average seems to go way up.
Yeah. Exactly.
And the more I'm learning, the more my batting average is going up too, right? It's like when you first start, it just seems to take forever to get anything.
Yeah. Right on stage?
I don't know. I'm very much a guy, like, people who can write on the stage, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
I need to try to work it out on paper. The reason is I've really found, at least for me and my style of comedy, the tighter it is, the better. And I tend to really overwrite things. So the first thing I have to do after I write something is edit about 90% of it out and see if it still tries to make sense, and then try to figure out a way to make it make sense that short. If I try to work it out on stage, it's going to be next to impossible for me to figure out whether there's actually anything to it or not, because the laughs aren't going to really be there. It's just not going to land. So I need to really kind of write it out and then tweak that wording.
What about, do you ever come up with tags?
Oh, sure. Yeah, like just a tag, absolutely. And actually, I've had better luck creating tags that way than I have actually writing tags.
Sure.
It's better for me if I write the joke and get to the punchline as quickly as possible and as tight as possible, as few words as possible, for the punchline to have the maximum impact. But I've definitely found that then when I try to write tags, they always suck. They're nowhere near as good as the first punchline, so I always end up just killing them.
Sure.
The only times I've really come up with decent tags are when things have occurred to me on stage that I've just kind of thrown out and I've gotten lucky.
Yeah.
So I guess I never really thought of it that before, but I guess the writing is kind of a hybrid.
Sure, absolutely. Makes sense. So do you have any a good booking story so far, or either you booked someone on a show, or you got booked on a show?
Yeah, I was when I was living in Los Angeles and had my career, I would go to a lot of fundraisers, as people in Los Angeles tend to do. And the Sklar brothers were performing one night. And they did this bit that I just didn't see coming. And the joke was, it was after Lance Armstrong had been revealed to be using performance-enhancing drugs. And they said, Lance Armstrong, do you believe the ball on that guy? Because he had also lost a testicle to testicular cancer. For some reason, I just thought that was the most clever thing I'd ever heard in my life. Cut to 10 years later, now I'm doing stand-up comedy, and I have a gig at a winery up in Paso Robles. And I actually had a budget for it to get, professional comedians. And I had a chance to reach out to Sklar Brothers, and they did it. So I had a chance to work with them. And it was just super cool. It was just, I got to tell them that story. Of course, I had no memory of the joke, the event, any of it. But it was a really big deal to me, which I think also kind of illustrates why we all kind of do this, right? It's like you get up, you have a lousy night, you think you've done absolutely nothing any good, and it turns out that for somebody in the audience, you made some sort of difference. And, that's why we do it.
Let's see. Do you have any other hobbies that aren't related to comedy?
I actually have started playing tennis. I'm in my mid-50s now, and so really my full-time job is trying not to die. So I have to go to the gym, and I have to eat what I don't want to, and I have to work out, and I have to do all this shit I don't want to do. And so I consider that kind of my full-time job. And this is still just a fun side gig. But I also really love to play tennis. I'm terrible at it, but I do really love it. And I love to ski as well. I'm also terrible at that. That's one of the reasons why, when I retired, I knew I was never going to make it as a golfer. I was going to have to come up with something else to do, and that's why I ended up in comedy.
That's cool. So did you ever listen to comedy podcasts or watch comedy specials?
Yeah, I'm as I said, I'm older. So I was a kid in the 70s. And when the Steve Martin albums came out, so Let's Get Small, Wild and Crazy and Guy, and all of those, Comedy Is Not Pretty, those were mind-blowing to me. I thought those were the funniest things I'd ever heard in my life. And at that point, the only stand-up comedy you ever saw would be on The Tonight Show, if Carson had somebody on. It wasn't there were scads of specials and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So it was really more albums was the first thing I got into. And then, Richard Pryor Live on the Sunset Strip came out, Eddie Murphy Delirious came out, and then it started becoming like movies. And then, obviously, it got to TV, and it was everywhere all the time. So, yeah, at different points in my life when I was younger, really into Steve Martin and Richard Pryor, Carlin, those guys. Got into Stephen Wright for a long time, who kind of had a white-hot moment in the late 80s. And then really didn't do too much with it. Didn't watch too much comedy. I mean, I was kind of aware of various people, certainly Chappelle and John Mulaney and guys like that. But it really wasn't until I started performing myself that I started watching more of it. And those guys are so much better than I am. Yeah. I don't even find it all that helpful, honestly. It's like, it's like I play weekend softball and I'm going to watch, Shohei Ohtani pitch. It's like those are two completely different sports, So I could still really watch it as a fan. It actually helps me when I go to local shows and I see people who are, the same as me and how they're doing it and how their process works. That's really what helps me the most.
Yeah, definitely. I totally understand what you mean. So I'm working on a process of revamping the questions and so I don't have my questions right in front of me.
No worries.
But let's see. So did anybody tell you that, you should do comedy or?
I think just about everybody who's in comedy, has liked making people laugh from the beginning, right? And so I think we've all heard that from somebody. Yeah. I mean, I think the shock when you get into this is how demonstratively different standing up in a comedy club and doing that is, how different every part of it is than, you can make your friends laugh around the dining room table. I think that's where most of us start. And we really, we enjoy it. And so that was actually a hard part for me because, I think when you become a stand-up comic, you're in for years and years and years of suck, right? You're just not, it's so hard and complicated, at least it was for me, that it was just very, very challenging to be any good quickly. And because I had always kind of thought of myself as funny, when I was failing as a stand-up comic, I was like, holy cow, am I not funny? It was something that I actually really cared about and something I sucked at it. So that's been kind of an interesting process to manage as I've continued. I mean, it's definitely something that I've thought about for a long, long time. So I was glad I had the chance.
So do you wish you started comedy earlier?
I don't. Only because I needed, everybody's built differently. And for me, I needed the security of a paycheck and a job. And so if I had, it would have been impossible for me to kind of balance having a full-time job and a comedy career, even though I was living in LA. The people who do it, and I know obviously just about everybody does, it's amazing to me that people can actually get that done. But if I had started earlier, there's parts of me that I appreciate that because, this is something I want to do for a while and soon I'll be dead. So that's a drag. But I can't have balanced the two any other way. So it just is what it is, I guess.
So tonight you told a joke, and it kind of reminded me of something. It's like almost. I feel like sometimes I would have put on a mask, because you're in the corporate world, you're making these jokes, they're not getting that you're just trying to be funny, and I just wonder even for me, if I would have realized, I'm I should be doing comedy,
right,
and have that release, then maybe you wouldn't have been saying these things to get you in trouble at work,
right?
You know what I mean?
It's a really fair point. I mean, there were definitely times when I said things at work that I shouldn't have, because something funny came into my head and it was funny to me, and once it went past my lips and went out into the world, it wasn't funny to other people. We've all had that experience. But
I think part of the theory is that if you would have had that release and you're in the process of, no, don't say that out loud.
Right.
Just save it for the stage.
Right.
Then people, maybe you would have been more like able to learn from other.
Yeah, maybe
people
I wouldn't have gotten fired so much.
Just been like, let it pass, let it.
Right.
Make the mental note, or excuse me, I just thought of something. You whisper into your microphone
right.
the joke till you can save it, get it out of your system.
Maybe so. I mean,
it's kind of a theory I'm working with.
Yeah,
here.
it's an interesting one. I'm pretty benign, so I don't. If I do have things that kind of pop into my head that I find funny, they're pretty gentle. I don't really go after kind of attack comedy, and so I was never in a situation where I was saying things at work that were inappropriate or whatever. Sure. But yeah, it's a really interesting idea. I don't know. Maybe I should have considered that.
Yeah, because for me, it's looking back, one time, I was starting to ride my bike to work from Oceanside to San Marcos, and you take
That's
off
a
your
way.
helmet, take up your helmet, your hair's all messed up, and this old lady, the sweet old lady I was working for, she's like, "Oh, your hair, you should go." She's like, and I'm like, "Does it look good?" And me, you're laughing at that, and her and the other coworker are just like, "Huh? No, that's why I'm telling you. It looks bad."
Right.
In the office, go. She didn't say that, but I could see it in her
right.
face. And then another time, I was actually doing programming at a place, and this guy gets hired, and it's a new guy. He's a couple of weeks in or whatever, and I'm just trying to joke around. I'm like, "So what do you do here?" And the freaking owner, one of the owners, is right over there. I didn't see him, and he's just like, "Oh." And I'm like, how do I explain this?
Right.
I don't know. So I feel like if I would have all other things, I didn't know I needed glasses at the time. Kind of dumb. Why am I struggling at work? Man,
I can't see.
These names are so close together. There's one letter off, and it's literally the file names are this big in 12-point font. And you make mistakes, and it's your fault. Okay. Yeah, I guess it was my fault. But enough about me. So, what about? Do you have a fan interaction that you liked? Either someone was a fan of you or you were a fan of someone else?
Yeah, I think, I'm still pretty new at it, so I don't really have, it's not like I'm being swamped by legions of fans. But it is funny when you, after a show, and you're standing by the door and you're thanking people for coming, even if they say, "Hey, I thought you were hilarious," or "That joke you told about X, Y, or Z." It's funny. It can just be something like that you live off of for several days.
Yeah.
And so it's always interesting to me that people might not realize how important that kind of stuff is, and how easy it is to give. So I now when I'm in those situations, I certainly try to be honest and talk people up, because I know it really makes a world of difference to me.
Yeah. Cool. Have you ever been in a car accident?
Yeah. I have. I totaled out a car when I was 16. That was really the only. Oh, and then I was working in Maine at a radio station. And I was driving around, dropping off bumper stickers at places. And I was sitting on an off-ramp at a freeway, and I'm sitting at a red light. I'm just dead stopped there. And this van I'm in is a flaming red van. It had 2 speakers in the back of it that weren't attached to anything. And when we would go places, we'd take the speakers up, put them on the roof of the thing so we could play the radio station. So I was watching this truck come off the freeway, and I'm like, wow, that's odd. It really doesn't look like he's going to stop. And he hit me, and he was flying when he hit me. And the 2 speakers came out past my head, went out through the windshield. And I got out of the truck, and I went, to see what the deal was, because he totaled out the van. And the guy said, I told the company these brakes were no good.
Oh, no.
And I thought, boy, I can think of about a million things your lawyers would have preferred you say right there than that. But I was young and I wasn't injured or anything, so it was all fine. But the program director of the radio station not happy with me, and I was like, it wasn't my fault, but it didn't really matter. But they couldn't quite figure out why the back of the van was mushed in and the windshield was blown out. They couldn't quite figure out how both those things happened. Not my proudest day. Yeah.
Wow. Did you tell him what happened?
Oh, yeah, I explained it. But it was still, the van was out of commission for several weeks, and somehow, they couldn't or didn't want to blame the guy in the truck who hit me. He was paying for it, obviously. But it was a bummer.
Wow. That's great. Let's see. So you have any goals in comedy right now?
I think the nice thing about it is that it's something I'm very serious about, and I spend a lot of time doing it, but it is a hobby.
Sure.
So, I can afford to have more short-term goals. I think, comedians think in terms of how many bulletproof minutes do we have, right?
Yeah.
Because we all have 9 hours of material, but maybe 10 good minutes of comedy that we know works every time. And so, I'm just really, this year, I just want to continue to grow the amount of, bulletproof minutes I got.
Yeah.
And also, try to just get more gigs at clubs, in the San Diego, Los Angeles area. So that that'll be enough for this year.
Cool. So have you ever done sketches or done a character on stage?
No, I actually am the world's worst impressionist. I mean, I am terrible. So every impression just sounds exactly like me. So I don't end up. That's not a strength of mine. So when people can do that stuff, I think it's just amazing. But I'm not a sketch guy. I'm not a voice guy. I just, I can kind of do one thing and try to just stay in that lane.
All right. Cool. So, do you ever listen to any comedy podcasts or any actual?
I'm not podcasts as much as specials. I'm watching any new special that comes out from just about anybody. I'll check out. And like I said, it's less about me as a student of comedy and more just as a fan. It's just,
Have you read any comedy books or anything like that?
You mean books about comedy? Yeah, I've read different stuff. I read Steve Martin's book, and actually I read one of the best books I've ever read was called On Writing by Stephen King, obviously it wasn't about writing comedy, but it was just about writing. And I think that it's all been part of kind of the journey for me. So those are probably the ones that have made the most impact.
Cool. Do you have any advice for anybody that is thinking about starting comedy?
I haven't been doing it long enough to really have any great advice. The only advice I would share with somebody who is really just starting out, if you're curious about it, I would suggest take a class. And they're all over the place. And I know that sounds a little odd because, like, okay, well, you're either funny or you're not. How is a class going to teach you? Stand-up is a very specific art. And just about all these classes, you want a class that is definitely tied to a showcase at the end of it, so you have to get up on stage because that's everybody's biggest fear. So you really need to kind of put yourself in a position where you can tackle that challenge. But I think, if you go to a class, you can save yourself a couple of years at open mics trying to learn what they'll teach you in the class. You'll eventually learn it. It's not like they're going to teach you anything that's mind-blowing that you couldn't have figured out on your own, but it'll just take you time. And so if you can take a class and kind of internalize what is being said, I feel like you'll at least be that much farther down the trail. You've always got so much to learn in this business that, at least if you can get a bit of a head start on it, I think a class is a good way to start.
Okay, yeah, that's good advice, I guess. For me, it was like, I didn't take a class, and then thinking back, it's like, I don't know how much it would have really helped me, because it's like, well, I guess if they could teach me, how can I be as funny as I am to myself in the bathroom here? I can switch different voices. I can like be quick, and then trying to capture that and bring it on stage. And it's like for me, my nervousness comes out in I forget what I want to say. I'm not doing the exact tone I want. So I don't. To me, like a class wouldn't help me get over that.
Yeah.
Like it takes doing it over and over and over and over and getting more and more comfortable.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, everybody does it different, right? But I certainly understand that. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm just too much of an Andy Kaufman, where it's like they say to do this, but that doesn't sound fun. I want to do this. Woo! And it's like, why aren't you on board?
Right.
Like I just wonder, just be able to take the time travel multiverse thing and the same exact audience that that do it again and first have a young someone that ended up figuring it out and getting big that's even slightly like me and have them go first.
Right.
And then, or have them be there to see that person, and then I get to be part of that show. Would I do good?
Right.
Or would I still be? They'd still be like, yeah, the other guy did that, but why are you doing it? It's comedy.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. We're having fun. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll really figure it out, or not care. I'm still also trying to get. It's so hard to go up there and just not care what people say or think, and just do what you want to do.
Right.
Even though I feel like people think I'm doing that, it's like, no, I'm still holding back.
Yeah, right.
Not even on purpose. I'm not holding back on purpose. I'm just seeing you go. Wait. Oh, the craziest thing, 3 different times at Madhouse. Some guy, different people, different times, are just like, what is going on? And I'm like, it's comedy. So, figure out how to ramp up.
That's the trick.
Yeah, part of this, part of the podcast is to interview people and also like talk these things out for myself. Encourage people to go see live comedy.
Yeah.
You just missed Comedy or Worse here at Quantum Brewing. Season 2, we're recording at a new venue. Quantum Brewing in San Diego is a great place to come. Did you?
Absolutely.
You liked it?
Yeah. No, it was great. It was a great show.
Every Friday and Saturday. Recording this right after the show on Saturday. No one stayed to see this live except for the bartender that let us.
They didn't want to ruin it. They wanted the full
It's
experience.
probably going to come out on Monday.
Yeah.
But, we got to wait. We got to build anticipation.
That's right.
Yeah. So it's probably a little shorter than I would like to have the podcast, but I think we should wrap it up.
Okay.
You're always welcome to come back onto the podcast.
Thank you.
Especially when I figure out this season 2 shenanigans. Lost my venue for season 1 was recorded, in person at the Madhouse Comedy Club, but I live in Encinitas now, and
Yeah, it's going to be a
don't
little
have the
harder.
keys to Madhouse, so we're figuring it out. We're doing it live.
Yes, we are.
This is what you got to do. You got to keep having the podcast comes out every week. Doesn't matter if it's not as good visually or.
You're saying it's not as good?
It's better.
I'm sitting right here, Aaron.
It's better.
It's better.
It's not as good. It's better. See,
right.
You thought it was bad. I switched it.
Nice.
This is roll riffing. Make yourself up. Yeah, but thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Sure, happy to.
I'll just stop and then do a quick 1-minute promo.
Okay.
Okay, so this has been Comedy
Or Worse.
Okay, bye everybody.
Bye.